Swishtalk today, and today we have a mock draft for you guys. This is our first mock draft. This is going to be based off what we would do, not what we think will happen, but later on this week we will have a video saying on what we think will happen in the NBA draft, of course. Now, with the first pick, the Orlando Magic, they can go many different ways here, but personally, I'm going with Paulo Banchero. I just think the Magic are missing that guy. They need that number one option. I just think Paulo is that guy. I think he's the best player in the class, and I think a lot of scouts are starting to overthink him. Right? He's the best shot creator, which is like the hardest or one of the hardest skills to learn, especially to take that step upward to being that superstar star player. And I don't really like comparing players in their own class. I look at who are the best players in the NBA, and when I see the best players in the NBA, I see these big wings, that really skilled guys that can create their own shot, get to their spots, and impact winning multiple ways. And Paulo Banchero, he's a great passer too. I don't think he was able to really show it all at Duke, but I think in the NBA that'll be a big part of his game, and he's already more advanced in that area than a guy like a Jason Tatum, right? That's the comp that I have for him. Not spot on, but he kind of play. I see some Jason Tatum in him, along with like Detroit Pistons Blake Griffin. But I just think Banchero is so ahead of his peers, in the fact that he's the best shot creator in the class and the best playmaker. People like to hit on his defense. I don't think his defense is that bad. I think it's just an effort thing. Now moving on with the second pick, I got the Houston Rockets taking Chet Holmgren. Even though Chet Holmgren is the fourth rated player in the class for me, I just think that he's probably the best fit here. It's either between him or Jabari, but I think they're really missing that guy who can really protect the rim, do a little bit of everything, and I just think Chet Holmgren is going to help them a lot. I like the fit with Giddey and Shea. It's going to be a really interesting team, really lengthy team. Defensively, I expect them to be good, and they could maybe push in for like a play-in spot. It's not impossible. Now with the third pick, I have the Houston Rockets selecting Jabari Smith. I think this is the best fit for him, and I just think it's really gonna open up his game playing with the guy like Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun. Play that in and out type game, and I just think it's really fun offensively what they can do in the future, and Jabari Smith is gonna add a lot to what they can do defensively right now and going in the long term. Sacramento Kings are gonna take Keegan Murray. For a long time, I really had the Kings taking Jaden Ivey, just take the best player available and move on. But it's really difficult to do that in the NBA, right? And we saw what they did with Tyrese Halliburton. They had the three guards, and it just wasn't working. They had to move on from one, right? So I think with pairing Keegan Murray, he's a win now player. I really like his game. I don't know if he's ever gonna be that all-star. I don't think he'll be a superstar type of player, but I think he's what the Kings need, and he's gonna be an all-around player. He reminds me a little bit of like a smaller Al Horford type player in a way. I love his focus, I love his drive, and he's just looking to get better every single day. And I just think with the Kings, he plays good with Sabonis. He can fit in nicely with Fox and Mitchell, and I just think it's going to be good for right now and going long. We're trying to build a more of a winning culture. The Kings haven't really made the playoffs, and I think this is a step up for that. Now, with the fifth pick, the Detroit Pistons are going to take Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey, I love Jaden Ivey. He's rated my second best player in the class. I have him second on my big board, and I love the fit next to Cade. Absolutely love it. I think that he's an off-ball scorer, and a lot of people say, he needs the ball in his hand. He really doesn't, right? Look at a guy like Devin Booker. He can play on ball, but he's mainly more like an off-ball scorer, right? There's so many guys who we say that they need the ball, but they really don't, right? I think Ivy can develop into that in the future, but I think pairing Jaden Ivey with a guy like Cade can really benefit both of them, right? I think Cade can help more with the playmaking that Ivy still hasn't had it there yet, the more in-between game, and kind of just be the guy for them, the real true number one. And I just think that Ivy can provide explosiveness, athleticism, and just a quick pace to this Detroit-style team, right? And I also love the surrounding pieces they have, with the Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart. There's just so much that they can do. And I just think Ivy and Cade, if they can be one of the best backcourts in the league for years to come. And I wouldn't be surprised if in less than 3 years they're in the playoffs. They're a play-in type of team. And I think they're going to be a lot better than people think. Now with the sixth pick, I have the Indiana Pacers taking A.J. Griffin. I love A.J. Griffin. I have him rated as my fifth best player. You know, he's number 5 on my big board, and I love his game. There's a lot of injury concerns with him, but I just think that he's like the prototypical NBA wing. He doesn't have the explosiveness that, you know, a Jaylen Brown, a Jonathan Kuminga, you know, a Stanley Johnson type had, but he's like in that range, right? And I think comparing these raw athletic wings, I think he's much more advanced skillfully than all those guys were at this age. And I think that, you know, with more development, more treatment at the NBA level, more strengthening, I think some of that explosiveness can come back a little bit. And I think he can just do so much more with the ball in his hand. Now, defense is a big issue with him, but I don't think it's as bad as advertised. I think it can improve, and it's gonna take time. But I love AJ Griffin. I think he's gonna be a multiple-time All-Star, and he's just like the prototypical NBA wing. Number 7, I have Jalen Duren. A lot of people don't have Duren in their top 10 or going in their top 10. But I think the biggest issue with the Blazers has been their defense. And I don't think CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard were the biggest issue to that, right? Yes, they were. They both undersized guards, but they can only do so much, right? And they never had a true rim protector. Yusuf Nurkic, really good, but he's just not a rim protector, not really a defensive-minded guy. I feel like if they have that rim protector, especially now next to Dame, I think it can elevate them. And Jalen Duren, playing with the point guard like Damian Lillard in the pick and roll, coming off sets, I just think it's gonna open up his game a lot more and see a lot that we didn't really see in college. He kind of reminds me. He has like a Dwight Howard type of frame, but his play style reminds me a lot of like Robert Williams from the Boston Celtics. At number 8 now we have coming in Dyson Daniels. Now the New Orleans Pelicans could go a lot of different ways here. They could go with a guy like Benedict Mathurin, you know, even a Jeremy Sohan if they really wanted to get interesting with it. But I just like the Daniels fit. You know, we look at their roster; it's a very complete roster, and I just think they need another point guard, have another playmaker, and I think getting open looks from, you know, Ingram drawing in attention, hopefully healthy Zion, CJ McCollum. It's going to open up the floor so much for a guy like Dyson Daniels, and I think he's going to be a solid shooter day one. I think he can be like league average 35, 36%, and he's going to provide really good defense, versatility for them. He's 6'8", which is amazing, and he's just a really smart player. Reminds me a little bit of Lonzo Ball. Number 9, we got Jeremy Sohan going to the San Antonio Spurs. I love this fit. I know the Spurs might want some more upside, more star power. I think it's a long way from now, but next year's draft, they might be able to get that. But I want them to get some day one ready players, and I think Jeremy Sohan just fits perfectly. He's a player that Popovich would love, right? Can play. I think he can honestly play 1 through 5 in spurts, maybe more specifically like 1 through 4, but super versatile. I think his 3-point shot will get better. Really good passer. You know, the shooting is the biggest swing factor with him, but the Spurs have been known to be one of the best developmental teams, and if he gets to them, that's just going to be great. Coming in at number 10, the Washington Wizards, I have them selecting Benedict Mathurin. Now, it's really tough to see what the Wizards really want to do here, because if you really look at the roster, it's just like they have a bunch of guys just put into one team. So it's kind of like hard to, like, they obviously need a point guard, but I don't think there's a point guard worthy being selected top 10. In my opinion, Dyson Daniels would have been the guy, but I have him going to New Orleans at number 8. So I just have them selecting a guy who can come in ready, especially if they keep Bradley Beal. I think he can play it right away, and Benedict Mathurin. Really good. I see him as a really good 3-and-D guy, really explosive, really athletic, and he has a really solid game. Number 11, I have the New York Knicks selecting Johnny Davis. I just think he's the best player available at this point. Has a throwback game, really thrives and loves that mid-range game. I've seen a lot of Devin Booker comparisons. I don't know if he'll get to that, but he's a really strong physical guard, soft shooting touch, and I think he can kind of help the Knicks with his defense. Really good defender. Just be another scorer, and I think he can fit alongside nicely next to R.J. Barrett and potentially Julius Randle if he is on the team. And I just have them going best player available. At number 12, I have Shaden Sharp. This might be a surprise. I know, Shaden Sharp. Some people have him top 5, top 10 for sure. I'm not the highest on Shaden Sharp. And the reason is I just think the transition from high school to the NBA into the pros is very difficult. Look at all these guys that I'm about to name, right? Jaden Hardy, Caleb Houston, Patrick Baldwin. These are just 3 guys that were projected top 10, even top 5 picks, and they disappointed, in their freshman years, right, in college. So, Shaden Sharp, I don't know. I think if he does go to a team like OKC though, or a team where they have good development, maybe like a San Antonio, I think he can be a really good NBA player. Super athletic, really nice mid-range shot. Can just a really good shot maker. I do have worries about the defense and the handle. I think he'll need more discipline, but as a long-term project, long-term piece for OKC, I really like the fit here. At number 13, I have the Charlotte Hornets taking Tari Eason. Now, we don't really know what the Hornets are going to do, especially with like the Miles Bridges situation, if they want to pay him or not, but I really like Tari Eason right here. I just think it's perfect fit. A guy who can run the floor, play in transition. I think he's honestly like not even a stretch, like a generational type of defender. Like I think he averaged like 2 steals, a block a game. It was something crazy like that. I think he's gonna help out a lot, this Hornets team defensively, and I think he can play, day one. I think he can start off. Number 14, the Cleveland Cavaliers. I have them selecting Malachi Branham. Malachi Branham is one of my personal favorite players in the draft. I just love his game. Silky smooth, really good mid-range shot, great shooter, just offensive creator. Reminds me a lot of like a Chris Middleton. And I just love the fit next to Cleveland. I think this is a guy that they were kind of missing last season. I don't think his rookie year he's going to be, doing all these ISO moves and, blah, and all this and that. But I think he can come in right away. He can help. He's going to have, a lot of people have concerns about his defense. I think playing with guys like Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, I think they'll help cover him up a bit. And I'm just a big Branham guy. Reminds me a lot of Chris Middleton. And the reason I have them taking Branham over a guy like Ochai Agbaji is just because I think Branham is a better creator than Agbaji. I think he can be a better player long term. And I think he's a better passer. He can make really good entry passes to a Jared Allen in the post and Evan Mobley. And I just really love the fit right there. Number 15, Charlotte Hornets. They're going to select Mark Williams, center from Duke. I love Mark Williams. Great shot blocker, super long and athletic. And I think this is the perfect player you want alongside LaMelo, especially with Tari Eason. It's just going to make the Hornets defense is going to really take like next levels after this year's draft. Now with the Hornets, I expect them to trade one of these picks, 13 or 15, doesn't really matter, but I expect them to trade one. I don't know if bringing in 2 rookies is necessarily what they want to do, especially that they did that last year, but hypothetically, no trades and stuff, this is where I have them going. Number 16, Ochai Agbaji. I have him going to the Atlanta Hawks. Now, I really like this fit because he's a really good defender, really athletic, and I think he can play nicely off Trae Young. I do wish that the Hawks could get like a Branham maybe, like more of a shot creator, guy who can play on and off ball, especially alongside Trae Young, because they have guys like a Jalen Johnson from last year who can really help out that perimeter defense, and Ojeka Okongwu as well at the center position. But I really like this fit, big fan of it, and I think the Hawks will continue to get better. Number 17, I have the Houston Rockets selecting Marjon Beauchamp. I just have them selecting another defensive-minded wing, a guy who can play in transition, super fast, super athletic, and I just think he's going to be in the league for a long time. I think he's like what you want in a modern-day wing, especially defensively and just versatility. Really good slasher. Has a questionable jump shot, but I think it can get better in the future, and I just think it's a perfect fit with what the Houston Rockets need. At number 18, I love this fit to the Chicago Bulls. I've been taking E.J. Liddell. E.J. Liddell is like a really versatile player to me, right? I think he can do a lot of different things on the court, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And surprisingly, a really good shot blocker, especially for only being 6'7", right? So I really like this fit. 3-and-D type of guy. Think of him as like a kind of like a Grant Williams, kind of in that mold. I expect him to be a better shooter, but in that mold of players. 19, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Ty Washington. Another great fit I love. I think the Timberwolves really needed, a guy who can kind of like calm them down in those late stretches, especially in the playoffs. And I know Ty is a rookie, but Ty is just a really smart player, really smooth game, really good shooter, especially when he gets to his spots in the mid range. Solid defensively. I think there's room to grow, but he's definitely not a liability, so he can fit right in. And I just think he's a guy that's going to take care of the ball really well. And I just think he's a great fit, especially next to like a guy like Anthony Edwards, Towns, and maybe he can even play with D'Lo, right? Number 20, I have the Spurs taking Jalen Williams from Santa Clara. I just have the Spurs selecting a lot of guys who can come in right now this draft, like play in, be ready, and I think Jalen Williams is that. I think he can be. I think the Spurs kind of lack a guy who can like create. I guess they have DeJounte, and besides him, he's kind of been like the main focus point on the offensive side of the ball. I think Jalen Williams can come in and help day one with that. 21, Bryce McGowan. So I have him going to the Denver Nuggets. I really like this fit right here. Bryce McGowan, silky smooth scorer. I think scouts are also overlooking him. I have him as a top 10, top 15 player in the class, and I think he's gonna play extremely well off of Nikola Jokic. Especially he's not gonna have to be asked to do as much, especially um, with not being the best player on the team, right? In Nebraska, he really had to do everything. And something I really like about Bryce McGowan is that he was able to get to the free throw line 6 times in college. That is incredibly difficult to do, and he was able to do that. Reminds me a lot of like a Jordan Poole, but a bit taller, and I just love the fit. Number 22, Memphis Grizzlies have them selecting Dalen Terry. I really like this fit. I think Tyus Jones, he's gonna get paid this offseason. If I don't see the Grizzlies bringing him back if he does get a big size contract. I just think that Dalen Terry is the perfect guy that you want next to Ja. He is gonna provide a lot of defensive versatility. Really great playmaker, and he can really play with and without the ball. I think he's gonna be a better shooter in the league, and I just love his fit. Number 23, the Philadelphia 76ers are going to select Jake LaRavia. I'm a big Jake LaRavia fan. I just think he's like everything you want in a modern day role player. Versatile defensively, can shoot the three, really good passer. He just does so many good things on the court, and he's only 20 years old as a junior. So I really like that fit. I think especially with Philly trying to make win now moves, trying to contend, trying to take that next leap. I think getting a veteran guy in Jake LaRavia with a lot of experience can really help them out. Number 24, I have the Milwaukee Bucks taking Patrick Baldwin Jr. Now Patrick Baldwin Jr. was a projected top 5 guy coming out. I was a big fan of his. Disappointed a lot in the mid-major conference, at Milwaukee, and he just didn't have a good season. He battled with injuries. He played in FIBA. Didn't really necessarily play the best. He shot it solidly, like solid shooter. I think he could feed off with guys like Giannis, Holiday, Chris Middleton, guys that can create, and he can just get those open spot up looks and develop under a guy like Giannis and Chris Middleton, right? I think learning from a guy like Chris Middleton will help a lot, especially them being both pretty good shooters. Now I project Patrick Baldwin to be a good shooter. Reminds me a lot of like Michael Porter Jr. And I just have the Bucks going a bit more like long-term projection with this pick right here. 25, Jaden Hardy. I have him going to the San Antonio Spurs. I love the fit. I love him being coached under Pop. And I think Jaden Hardy, I think he's getting overlooked. Also, he didn't have the most efficient, but towards his second half of the G League, he started playing really well. Really, I think he's a really good shooter, and I think off spot up just alone, he shot like 40%, 38, 39% from 3, which just shows the type of player he can be, at least on that side of the ball. Big fan. I think decision making is something he needs help with, and I think going to a place like San Antonio can really help him out a lot. Number 26, the Houston Rockets have them selecting Kennedy Chandler. I still think that the Rockets are missing that true point guard, that guy that can kind of run the offense, get everybody in their place. And I think Kennedy Chandler is that guy for them going forward. I don't know if Kevin Porter Jr. is the long-term option at the point guard position, but why not get an insurance policy in Kennedy Chandler? I think he fits nicely next to Jalen Green, Sengun, Paulo Banchero, guys like that. 27, Miami Heat. I have them selecting Ryan Rollins, one of my personal favorites in the class, right? Um, Super smooth offensive guy. Love the mid range, and I think he's a guy that Miami was missing in the playoffs, right? He can score from anywhere. I think he's a better 3-point shooter than the numbers show, especially getting more open looks. Especially Jimmy, Tyler Hero drawing in more attention. Bam. And I think there's gonna be guys that get him the ball. Jimmy, Kyle Lowry, Bam's a really good playmaker. I love the fit. Not just being able to develop under that Heat culture, which is probably the best culture in the league today. I just really like it. Number 28, the Golden State Warriors. I have them selecting Blake Wesley. I know it's a weird fit, but I think Blake Wesley can go develop under the Warriors, finish better at the rim, tune his jump shot a bit, fix it up, fix some mechanical issues with it. But I really like Blake Wesley. Has defensive upside, really good ball handler, really shifty, can really just get to his spots. And I think there's no better place to go develop than the Golden State Warriors. And I know there's rumors that they want to trade it, and if they do, then that's what they do. But why not just take the chance and the upside on a guy like Blake Wesley, who can be the future point guard, once maybe like a Steph Curry retires and, as he gets older and stuff, right? Number 29, the Memphis Grizzlies. I have them selecting Peyton Watson. I know Peyton Watson is a projected second-round pick. Didn't play much at UCLA, but the Grizzlies are turning themselves into one of the better developing teams in the league. With up there with the Torontos, the Spurs, the Heat, the Warriors. Teams like that. The Grizzlies are right up there, right? So I really love this fit. I think he can really develop. He's going to provide a lot of defense for them, and he could potentially be a really good two-way player down the line. And at number 30, we're just going to wrap it up. I got the Denver Nuggets selecting Caleb Houston, 3-and-D guy out of Michigan. Really disappointed this year. I was high on him coming into the year, but I think he's going to be really good, especially playing off a guy like a Nikola Jokic, finding him as an off-ball cutter, off-ball mover, catch and shoot from three. I just think it's a perfect fit. And that concludes our first mock draft based off what we would do if we were GMs. And I just want to thank you guys for all the support and everything. You can check us out on TikTok at Swishtalk and the NBA channel. We'll put links up on the screen and everything. Check us out on Instagram at SwishTalkTakes. We have content over there dropping every single day. And I just want to say thank you for everything. We really appreciate you guys, and we have so much more content coming. Stay tuned for the next mock draft coming. Thank you.